today's topic is going to be really interesting. Before we even get started with that, hello and welcome. My name is Rosie and I'm the artist behind Wandercrafter, and I am the creator and the coach of the Craft Academy. In case you don't know yet, the Craft Academy is a step-by-step program that's designed to take you from a calligraphy business that is frustrated into a flourishing one, so you can actually go from 0 clients to booking your dream clients. It comes with like all the templates and pitches and emails and brand decks and contracts and literally everything that you need so that you can book a client with confidence and actually get that consistent cash flow. So I'm really excited today because we have Tammy from Ink and Innuendos, who actually just went full-time. Well, she's kind of in a transitional period right now, and so we'll dive into that a little bit deeper. But today's topic is pretty near and dear to my heart because I've actually just hit my 1-year mark as a full-time entrepreneur, full-time calligrapher. So it's definitely a major milestone for me. And as I was reflecting last week, I really wanted to share some of that wisdom that I've learned within the last year, all of the challenges that I've had to overcome, both financially, emotionally, and literally all the personal growth that I've had to go through within the last year to get to where I am. But we're not here just to talk about me. I am not unique. We actually have a newer Craft Academy student, Tammy from Ink and Innuendos, coming on live. And I'm excited to talk to her because she actually just quit her full-time job shortly after joining the Craft Academy, which is like kind of cool. And I'm excited to talk about some of the mental changes, some of the concrete things that we had to do in order to feel more comfortable leaving our full-time job. And hopefully this inspires another creative to want to go full-time and take that risk and take that leap. So I actually wanted to introduce Tammy from Ink and Innuendos. She specializes in modern calligraphy with an edge. So I love an alliteration. So I think her title for her business really speaks to her style. I'm excited because she literally quit her full-time job very recently. She joined the Craft Academy about a month ago, and within 7 days of joining the Craft Academy, she put in her 14-day notice for her full-time job. Now she's working a part-time job and her goal is to go full-time. So this is kind of a really cool, exciting transitional period for her. So I'm excited to talk about that. So Tammy, I'll have you introduce yourself. Tell us how you got started with Ink and Innuendos and what your journey to entrepreneurship is like.
Cool. Well, hi everyone, and thank you so much, Rosie, for having me here and just giving me the opportunity to share my story and hopefully inspire other creatives to do the same. So Ink and Innuendos is actually, my husband and I came up with that name, and I started it back in 2016 when I was planning my own wedding. It was still really new at that time, and modern calligraphy was just breaking into the creative industry. So I thought to myself, like, I'm just so fascinated by it. So I said, I'm gonna try it and I'm gonna make my own wedding details. I just didn't know it would open up this whole new world of opportunity. I was getting commissions left and right, and just thinking to myself, like, wow, people want to pay me for something that I just like love to do for fun. From then on, I literally tried every avenue. So from greeting cards to embossing to wood burning, chalk art, whatever you can think of. And most recently is my favorite, which is hand engraving. And so where I want to take my business is purely live events for hand engraving and calligraphy.
Oh, that's awesome. And it's so funny that you mentioned, like, I didn't know what this calligraphy thing was going to turn into. When you first hear about calligraphy, you're just like, oh, it's hand lettering. It's letterings that look cool. But then you really dive into it and you find this like crazy world that involves all of those different things, right? Like calligraphy is not just pointed pen and paper. It's like everything that you mentioned, and there's so many things that you can do with it, which is so exciting as a calligrapher because there's so many things that you can do. So tell us, what were you doing for your full-time job?
So before the transition, I was full-time in creative design. So I was making like signage, doing place cards. I was doing a lot of curating and like sourcing materials for a catering company, which I really admire. Yeah.
Cool. So it sounds like you were doing some of the same stuff that you were already doing for Ink and Innuendos, but you were doing it for another company. Does that sound right?
Right. So, I mean, it definitely had more rules and restrictions, right? So it's not just this freelance work. It seemed like this dream come true at first. And then in time, I realized I was doing all of these things for and working towards someone else's dream, but not my own. So I had put Ink and Innuendos on the back burner for so long.
Can Did you feel like when you were doing these, you know, day of items for the catering company that you were taking away energy from Ink and Innuendos because you were already doing it for someone else?
Yeah, definitely. I knew working full time would mean less time to focus on my business, but yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I didn't have the time or mental capacity, and I was turning down commission work. And you know, I kind of thought to myself, like, why am I turning down what I truly want to do? So that was kind of like that cherry on top that made me realize.
Yeah, the light bulb moment that kind of pushes you towards the full-time creative.
Right.
Cool. So what was like the moment that you made that decision of like, okay, I'm going to put in my 14 days, like I'm done?
Well, I definitely had done my research on the Craft Academy, so I wouldn't have made the jump if it wasn't for just kind of seeing what you were putting out there, and even the other members of the Craft Academy and how it's changed their lives. But you know, I got to this really dark place where I was just unhappy, and I just told myself, like, is this it for me? Like, I'm so unfulfilled, and this isn't what I want to do. I want to be doing engraving. I want to do live events. I want to do calligraphy. And you know, at that time I just felt so stuck. But then I realized, like, no, there's things that I can do to change this, and this isn't the only option for me. And so that was when I decided to reach out to you, and I thought, okay, this, like, why have I not done this sooner? Like, I can make this change right now, and I will have like the tools and resources I need to really like take my business to the next level, and it's okay to leave my full-time job.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. So what were some of the things about the Craft Academy that really inspired you and gave you that courage to go full-time, or at least quit the full-time job?
Well, one of the main things was it wasn't just modules to read off of, like not just a PowerPoint slide. It's an actual community of other creative artists just like me. And being a creative artist is so vulnerable because you're a solo artist. But I love that there's this ongoing support. So that really like captivated me, and the fact that like everyone gets to share like tips, trial and error, and even leads, which I think that's crazy, but it really is community over competition. So I think that really like just grabbed my attention.
Yeah, and I love that you mentioned the community, because I've worked really hard to make sure that the people who come into Craft Academy are really positive, have that community over competition mindset. And, you know, not every single person makes it into the Craft Academy that applies. You know, we really have to make sure that the program is going to work for them, that we're going to be able to actually help them. And of course, they have to be in a position where they're willing to accept help. So not everybody gets there, but some people get there eventually. So I love that you talked about that. And I love that you got the courage to really just go full time. Was there anything specific about the Craft Academy other than the ones that we've already mentioned that kind of gave you some of that, you know, more concrete guidance on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think right off the bat, just going through the modules and like the lessons that you teach through that, I think one of the most important things that you instill in us is like being our own, you know, cheerleader and really believing in ourselves. And I swear, like every time I went through your post or your previous IG interviews, I thought like, you're talking to me. I feel like you are just literally talking to me and telling me like, stop being negative. Like that negative inner dialogue does not help. You know, it's so damaging. So I do really value what you teach in your modules.
Thank you.
But yeah, I mean, there's so much invaluable lessons that you go through, and just being able to like have one-on-ones and do our coaching calls. Like I don't know any other program that does that.
And I think that's where a lot of value comes in for the Craft Academy, is that you actually get curated advice for your specific business from someone who's been there, done that, and has the experience and has coached 50 plus other calligraphers. So it's not the first time that I've seen these situations. And if it is, then we figure it out together. That's really where like the bread and butter and the work happens, is these coaching sessions that happen 2 times a week. And it's so valuable. And I always love seeing you on there. You're just such a positive energy. And like you know, all the students really admire you too. So
thank you. Yeah. And I mean, I can speak for all of us. We really appreciate how open and honest you are. Yeah. I think that your presence is so inspiring. I know like you run the Craft Academy now, which is so unreal, but yeah, you were in like our shoes, you know, not too long ago.
Yeah, not that long ago.
So crazy, but happy 1 year, by the way.
It's crazy to think about. Like the time goes by so fast, and like, you know, you mentioning that like now I'm running like the Craft Academy, and it's still so surreal to me because when I started TCA, I never thought it was going to be what it is today. I kind of just was thinking like, oh, I'll help a couple people and see where it goes. Now it's like grown into like a huge community that, you know, you mentioned before that we share everything. We share our knowledge. We share, you know, whether it's about advertising or your website, social media, about different inks and stuff, like we share everything. And then even the leads, which is incredible because we get leads all the time. Once we have that footprint in there, we have the website going, we have our leads, our pitches and stuff already kind of brewing in the background. When there's extra opportunities, we share it among the community, which I think is incredible. Again, like that's just something that I never thought would happen, and it's just awesome to see everything unfold. Maybe let's go back a little bit to what kind of helped you prepare to quit your full-time job. What were 3 signs that you kind of knew that you were ready to pursue your creative career more?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, just kind of reevaluating where I was, like my mental space. I think just asking myself, like, am I happy was the biggest thing. Of course, like talking to my husband, talk to my sisters, like, can I do this? Like, can I leave? Can I actually like take my business where I want it to go, you know? And the Craft Academy being the biggest catalyst for that was a no-brainer. But I just thought to myself, like, okay, well, let me be realistic first. Let me like reel it back in and think about like where I'm at financially. My husband and I just bought a house and a car. I know the 2 big things we'll ever purchase. We decided to do both. But yeah, you know, so I have to think about like, okay, well, am I gonna leave like a cushy 9-to-5 job with that financial stability and chase after my passion? And I thought to myself, okay, well, you know what? I've stacked my chips. I've been saving. We're in a good space right now where I can go ahead and just like invest in myself. And that's something I'd never done before. Yeah. And just hearing through like your interviews and your, you know, motivational posts, I was like, okay, like that's right. It's going to take money to make money, and it's going to be a lot of work, but I just got to make sure I put the work into it. So
yeah. So putting in the work for your specific business, and you mentioned some of the financial aspects to it. How much did you save up? What did you feel like was a comfortable cushion for you to kind of prepare for that?
Well, I did have to think about like, okay, what am I currently making at my full-time job, and what does that mean for, you know, flying solo, right? So I definitely had to think about how many commissioned work do I have to book within a month. And what I love about TCA is that you actually go through that in one of the modules, and you go through a worksheet and everything. So I was able to kind of curtail that even more using your information and punching in my numbers to see like I need to book 7 events per month to meet like a comfortable financial income to live off of. Did
you wait until you got those 7 events per month, or are you still kind of working towards that goal?
Oh, no, absolutely not. No, I would love that. That is definitely my goal still. But no, I don't know if you could ever fully feel ready to make that jump. But I think what I kind of went back on was like, okay, well, if I'm not happy right now, then what do I have to do to change that? Because that's in my control. And so I knew the steps that I needed to take to build my business, that if I worked towards it every single day, it doesn't have to be something drastic, but if as long as I take like a little step every day to work towards my goals, then I could be successful. Yeah, I just kept that confidence, and I told myself like, if I pull the safety net out from under me, then sink or swim, like I got to make it happen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I mean, you don't have to have everything figured out before you leave your job, but sometimes you can do things to kind of prepare and get comfortable at least, you know, having like a 3 to 6 month cushion to make sure that you can meet your bills, maybe making your calligraphy income match what you need every single month and then quitting. Another thing you can do is like preparing for you going full-time and potentially not having an income for 3 to 6 months. So having that savings, having some of those investments is going to help make that a little bit more comfortable when you do make that dive, because it is super scary. For me, I actually ended up working until I got super burnt out and physically, mentally, emotionally could not go to work anymore and had to go on disability and, you know, get counseling and stuff like that. So fortunately for me, I was able to get a little bit of income from my work benefits to cover that, and I had savings already for, you know, several, you know, like a year or so. So I had that cushion already. I just was afraid of making that dive because it's so scary, because you don't know what's on the other side. Like you could ride the elevator all the way down and you know what's in the basement already, right? Or you can like ride all the way up and potentially get onto the roof and like meet all your goals and get all happy. So you just never know. And you mentioned leaving the job and losing that safety net. It really does burn that fire under your butt to force you to be stronger and to challenge you to make the goals and meet some of the goals that you've never met before.
Yeah, I definitely felt that fire as soon as I put in my 2 weeks and I was like, okay, this is real. This is go time. I pulled like, this is bad, but I pulled like 2 overnighters going through your modules, and
oh my God.
I created my brand deck within the first like week, and I
love it.
revamped my whole pricing list based off of the industry standards. And I knew at that time, like I was pricing below standard. You can make a better living off of being a full-time creative artist if you're actually valuing yourself and your work and pricing correctly. So,
and you know, again, like we hammer it in with the Craft Academy, because if you're not making money, then you're not having a functional, profitable business, right? At the end of the day, that's what it's all about. And of course, reaching the dreams, and you know, money doesn't buy happiness, but it sure makes it a lot easier. So cool. So you quit your full-time job, you're working on Ink and Innuendos, you feel more motivated than ever before. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you actually got a part-time job, right?
Yeah. So an amazing opportunity arose, and I now work for a small business owner who I really admire, and I get to see what she does every day, like having started her business from the ground. It's definitely way more scaled back than any position I've had in the past, and it's more part-time hours. So it's afforded me the thing I never really had before, which is time and energy. So I'm in the best like headspace I've ever been before, and I have such a great work-life balance now. Like got to leave early today to just come and do this Instagram live with you. I've never been happier.
Oh, good. I'm so happy for you. I'm happy for everything that you've done so far and for the successes that you're already experiencing just by being in the Craft Academy for such a short amount of time. Plus, like, you are just a positive energy in itself. So like this is just the beginning for you. We're kind of in that transitional phase. You have a part-time job, you're doing Ink Innuendos pretty full-time. Where do you see yourself going with your business?
I mean, I have my set little milestones. So I do want to continue to steadily book live engraving events. And thanks to one of our fellow Craft Academy members, Michelle, she's been doing the fundamentals of bottle painting, and so I had taken her workshop, bought all the stuff that she recommended, so I'm excited to learn more with that and put that under my belt as well. But I'm hoping to just do full-time engraving events. My heart is still with wedding day of details or event details, so I am still open for commissions for day of, you know, details. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Cool. I mean, you don't have to go completely full-time into like just engraving and live events. You can do so many other things. Like you can have multiple forms of income, and that's another thing that we talk about. So much good stuff in this interview so far. What advice would you give someone who's thinking about potentially going to full-time?
I can say, I mean, it's not an easy decision, and it's something that you shouldn't do or make irrationally. I think definitely take a step back and really think about like where you're at financially, think about what you have saved up, where you need to be comfortable. But one of the most important questions that took me a long time to realize that holds so much weight is, are you happy? Are you doing what really drives your passion? Because if you're not, and like every day that you're staying, in this vicious cycle is a day shorter from what you could really be doing that makes you happy.
And that is incredibly powerful. So thank you for saying that. I feel like everything that we've talked about has been super impactful, and I really hope that everything we mentioned will inspire someone else to go full-time, or maybe just take a little bit of chance on yourself. Every step that you take today towards your goal is going to be a step closer to where you actually want to be. So take the opportunity for yourself. And if you need inspiration, we're here. This is definitely kind of a hot topic for us. I feel like I've been talking about this all day during our coaching call. It turns out there's like 2 or 3 other students who were already doing it full time and one person transitioning too. And we were kind of in like a sea of quitters, if you will, which is like kind of the coolest thing that I've heard all like my entire life. So, this is very impactful. So thank you so much, Tammy, for coming on here. In a short amount of time, Tammy has made a lot of personal growth, and I'm really honored to be just even a small part of that journey. And I know this is just the beginning for you, because you've already gotten some gigs within the past month or so, which is absolutely incredible. If you have a calligraphy business and you feel really frustrated with where you are and you really want to transform it into a flourishing calligraphy business, we would love to kind of talk to you. Send a message to me, send a message to Tammy if you have questions. No matter what your calligraphy business goals, I would love to kind of talk to you and kind of hear where you want to go, whether it's creating a side hustle and getting a little bit of extra income to pay off some debt or whatever it is, or even just helping you grow your side hustle into a full-time hustle. No matter what your business goals are, we would love to connect with you. So send us a direct message. We'd love to meet you and help you build the business of your dreams.
Yay! Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you, Tammy. Thank you for taking the time to chat with us, and thank you everyone who tuned in. You guys are amazing. All right, have a good rest of your day.
You too. Bye.
Bye.